Yeah, obviously that was a tough day for us. You have to credit James Madison a lot. I thought their early ability to make shots panicked us, and we had been a really good defensive team for quite a few games leading into this. We were not that today, but I do think that's what happened. I know they made 4 out of 5 in the first quarter, and we talk a lot about good players are going to make some shots. You have to make them tough, and then you have to reload and go play again. And I think the gravity of the situation kind of snowballed on us, meaning they make, and then this is a group that wanted to play well today. So, they make, and then we've got players that want to go right after it, and you have to have a level of patience to actually perform on the offensive end when that stuff goes on. And, so I think they stressed us, and then we stressed ourselves on the other end, and then that snowballs. And then they just continued to make enough at key moments that, we could just never really mount a comeback. But our defense, that was one of the, we just left a lot of people open. We have some things that we like to do that today we weren't very good at. And it's a bad day to have a bad day, but that's what it was. And their 9 for 21 from 3 is a lot to do with that. I brought Abby Beeman Jr. Abby had a really good tournament down here today. She won't feel very good today, but she's been a heck of a player for us all year. And so.
Okay, we'll open for questions. Go ahead.
Luke Creasy, HG Media in Huntington. Coach, there was about an 8.5-minute stretch there in that first half where you guys went cold from the field. How big was that? You talked about having to have patience and things like that. But how frustrating was that to not see those shots fall when you had the chances?
Yeah, you got to go back and really watch to know, did we actually take shots that we like or not? I think they guarded us well. They did a pretty good job switching on ball screens. We struggled to put pressure on the rim. And, if we can't put pressure on the rim, then we do have some shooters, but it's hard for them to be open if you can't really get some pressure down at the basket. So, I know that contributed to it. So tough day on offense, and it was a tough day on defense too, and that's a bad formula to play well. But I think something that I looked up there at the end, and I had 3 timeouts left in the game. We lost by quite a bit. So a little bit of that is trusting them. We've been in that situation a lot all year, and we've just found spurts of 12-0. And so I'm sitting there watching it going, you just got to be patient. And you got to save those because you're going to need them at the end, because that's just been us. That's by far the worst loss we've had in conference play. And I don't know the stats on that. I just know many of them are 1 or 2 possession games. And many of them, we had stretches where it wasn't perfect out there. And they would level off, and they would go on a little spurt, and then you'd be right back in there. And today we just couldn't mount that spurt.
Hard to look forward after ending the season with a loss like this, but how do you put into words kind of the journey that you've been on with the team this year?
Yeah, I feel like my story's a little different. Thankful for the opportunity to compete at the highest level, wear Marshall across my chest, and play with my team. Like you said, it's not the way we wanted to end it. It's gonna hurt all off season, but hopefully that motivates people coming back, myself included, and really hoping to be in a better position next year.
Keith Morehouse, WSAC, TV Huntington. For both of you, Coach and Abby, after you go through a year of Sun Belt play, just assess the conference, how good it is, what you need to do better, and what you guys thought about your first go.
Yeah, we just talked about that as a group, and I know that we haven't spent a lot of time as a group talking about. We're built from the ground up this year, and so I think when you look at that, today's no fun. It is no fun. but I also know that the nucleus, there's a lot to grow on in the nucleus. We have to find a way to get a little bit more physical. I mean, to compete like on a day like today. I mean, they've just got some size at every position. But this one right here, I ask her every day. I'm like, I think you're growing a little bit, because she jumps up there and gets 9 rebounds. So that's kind of a thing with how we play, but we also have to figure out a way to not make it a thing, And so I think that she's a really good example of that. She figures out a way at her size to really impact every phase of the game. And so there's a good base there to make another jump next year. I know we were in a ton of close games, wins and losses. So there is we have to understand that as a program. Like, there's no margin for error on the off season. There's no margin for error on a night on the road, second night. We've got to grow at that, because we don't walk in there and just physically are going to have it all perfect. We've got to get a little more physical. That's part of it. But I think that the way the league plays, I think we match up with well. It's pretty fast paced. We're pretty good in transition. I think it was a good first year. I appreciate this tournament. Appreciate the way they put it on. I think it's a place where Marshall can have good tournaments down here. So I'm positive on that. We just want to grow as a group, and we've got a lot of them back that I really like, and we just got to put our head down and get better.
Yeah, I think like every night you never know who's gonna win, no matter what the record is. Everyone competes. I don't think there's from the first team to the last team there's a huge gap. So that's something I really appreciate, competing every night and knowing that there's not going to be a game where we can lay down and just think it's going to be handed to us. So I think it's a really good league. I think, like Coach is saying, there's a lot to grow from this group and as a whole. So I'm just really excited for the future. Really lucky. I feel blessed to have the opportunity to compete in this league, and I want to make it a better year next year. So.
Yeah, Coach, got one from here from Zoom from Justin Zimmer, WMUL 88.1. Coach, what was the biggest, adjustment you saw on the other end? Coming away with that one at the end of the year, what was the biggest thing that you saw them do differently today?
Well, I don't have the stats from the last game. They were 9 for 21 today. So but I don't know that we did a good job. I thought Jefferson was better today. 5 for 9. She made some shots early. So probably that, just general shot making. But and then we never had over there. We had a push. The storm that we weathered, we did to them. Today we never did that. So that's probably the difference. Is over there we threw something at them, and today that shoe flipped. They hit us for 4 for 5 out of the gate. We sort of tried to manage that, but really could never come back. So that's probably it, just shot making. They put it together, and after us kind of maybe surviving that initial push, we never put one back on them.